Recently on my channel, I have been showing samples of all of my different Scribble art techniques. And today I'm going to focus on the Loopy Loo. It's exactly what it sounds like. The Loopy Loo is all about making loops with your pen. You can keep those loops moving across the page or stay in one spot and create a tighter circular scribbles. It's kind of like drawing loose circles. For today's demo, I decided to draw lupines. Yeah, loopy lupines for the Loopy Loo. Now, just a quick note about scribble art in general. You don't have to stay to one technique in a piece of art. So usually I blend several together. You'll see that in my scribbled lips video and also in a portrait I did of my daughter in the original technique video where I used all 7 of my scribble styles all at once. But today, in order to demonstrate the Loopy Loo, I'm gonna try my best to stick mainly with the Loopy Loo. So I can't promise I won't sneak a few other scribbles in there. It's just the way that I draw. First, I'm going to show you a quick sketch just with ink of my Loopy lupines. And then in a minute, I'm going to show you a version using watercolor, inking over watercolor. I'm going to start first with some stippling just to make the top of this lupine a little more delicate. And then I'm going to gently move into circular motions that start to indicate an impression of all the little buds of the lupines. So my loops are meant to be expressive. They're not perfect or literal. I just lift my pen when I feel like it. And it's not necessarily about making one continuous stroke. Sometimes I do, but it's more about feeling the free flow. So sometimes staying in one circle that I repeat and other times moving around in that circular motion, just like the name, Loopy Loo. For things like the stems and leaves, I'll sometimes switch to back and forth lines or just outline the shapes first and then go back into Loopy Loo scribbles for the depth. Lupin leaves are long and narrow and they all cluster together in a star shape. So I scratch those in and then I'm gonna add Loopy Loos to add a little bit of contrast and a bit of shadowing on one of the edges of each leaf. Now I want to demonstrate for you the Loopy Loo ink technique on top of this watercolor beautiful bouquet of lupines that I've pre-prepared for the demo. I'm not going to be using a black fine point pen like an ink pen. Instead, I'm going to be using colored markers, ultra fine point colored markers for this demonstration. All the tools that I'll be using, I will put in the description box below in case you're interested. I'm going to start out with this really soft purple color, like a lilac colored marker to do the initial base of Loopy Loos on my lupine blossoms. Just like in the previous demonstration without the watercolor base, I'm going to start with just some stipples and scratches towards the top of the lupine to create a bit of a soft, ethereal look where the lupine is just sort of floating away a bit at the top there. And then I'm going to start my Loopy Loos. And I'm looking at where the watercolor drops. So I used a wet on wet technique and dropped purple pigment into water that I had painted on the paper. And I'm just looking at where all those little markings are in the paint and looking to enhance them without a lot of overthinking. And here and there, I'm circling my pen around multiple times to make one of the blossoms or a few of the blossoms be more noticeable to help them stand out a little bit more than the others. And then some of them, I let my ink pen just travel down the whole blossom of the lupine and just sort of Loopy Loo to create an airy, free-flowing feeling. And I'm not overthinking it, but rather trying to just let my pen dance and catch a little bit of the movement and the general feel and look of a lupin, and leave the viewer with that impression of a lupin, even though it won't be exact. I'm going to switch to a darker purple ink marker, and I'm going to just make some small sort of half circle, sort of semicircle markings under where I would imagine the blossoms of the lupin being, to create some depth. But here and there, I also do some Loopy Loo scribbles to keep these darker markings loose and airy. I think this is a great way for me to not only have demonstrated the Loopy Loo scribble technique to you, but to show you how you can combine fine point markers with watercolor. If it's interesting to you to do some mixed media type of drawings and paintings, I love to put everything inside of a mat when I work on paper. A mat finishes it and makes it look professional and just adds that final touch. So even a lot of times when I'm doing the initial sketch, I will put a mat on there so that I can see what the composition looks like inside the sketch. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration of the Loopy Loo scribble technique and learning a little bit about how to add fine point marker into a watercolor. Check out the channel for lots more videos like this. I have a whole series on Scribble ink marking techniques. Bye for now, everyone, and I hope that you try your own version of this.